A whole lot of news to get to here today. So we'll start off with, I guess, to me, the biggest one. Denny Hamlin finally addressed the rumors here of FedEx possibly leaving or reducing sponsorship once again. This from, let me get her name here, Lydia Me of Newsweek slash. I think I saw this also in the Sporting News. I think they're owned by the same company, but either way, looking at it from Newsweek right here, it's been a fantastic partnership that we've had for nearly 20 years. They're the ones that really took a risk on me when I was running in the Xfinity Series about fifth to eighth every week. That risk paid off for many years and couldn't be happier to be aligned with FedEx. And certainly, I got to do great things off the track as well. It's made my career. It made a lot. It made it a lot easier being aligned with someone for that long, and we're going to continue to represent on and off the track for the time to come. Now that's an interesting statement, for the time to come. So a lot of people taking that one way or the other. Some people looking at that as saying FedEx is still going to be around for a few races. Other people are looking at that saying that looks like FedEx is going at the end of this year. I think you can read it either way. I think he worded it very carefully there to leave that door open for speculation. I don't think, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know that Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs necessarily even know just yet. So I'm thinking they just don't know. But if I had to take a guess on it, if I had to take a wild guess on it, I'm thinking FedEx comes back for at least a few races, but they'll just downscale it down some more. But if they leave altogether, that's going to be a super bummer. But he did finally address it, and that was his statement from it. Indeed. The other big news today, sort of being NASCAR is going to put the old Mohawk, putting a Mohawk. You know, they had the wider, taller shark fin on the back. Well, now they've taken the shark fin and put it all the way back, reaching across the front glass, basically. So it's all the way around the greenhouse of the car, all the way back to the back spoiler now. Uh, and here's what it says from Jayski. NASCAR will institute aerodynamic changes to all Cup cars ahead of Sunday's round of 12 race at Talladega Speedway, the sanctioning body announced Tuesday. Among the mandated additions will be the extended height roof rail, that's what I'm calling the Mohawk, an extended rocker panel skirt, and fabric beneath the right side roof flap. These combined efforts are intended to reduce the chances and effects of a vehicle getting airborne in the event of on-track high-speed incident at the 2.6-mile superspeedway. That is NASCAR's statement on it, and I'm reading it from Jayski. Here's the deal. They it doesn't matter what you do. First off, it doesn't matter what you do to the car, first off, because it's Talladega. You're going at such a rate of speed there that it's going to be more likely, Talladega, Daytona, it's going to be more likely to have a car flip over there regardless of what you do to it. So I want to be clear about that. But they know that the bigger issue here is the underbody wing, whatever you want to call it. That, when it gets turned the wrong way, is what's making these cars go. Now, they can do whatever they want to mitigate it. And surely these things will help keep the cars on the ground. I'm not saying that they won't. But the speed you're going at Talladega, you're going to get hit in ways that NASCAR can't come up with on a simulator or a computer. And even if they can, the things that they throw on the car to stop it from doing this, I don't really see it helping. That is the poll question, by the way. Do you think this will help the cars not flip over? Yes or no? So I don't think it really matters what you do, but NASCAR is doing everything but addressing the underbody. And like I said, I know the body completely ties into the underbody now, so you can't completely get rid of it, but you can have a different type of underbody that still connects at all those points that doesn't have the wing underneath for the super speedways, for the short tracks, and things like that. So there are things you can do. This car is already expensive. Adding another expensive part to it for certain races, I don't think it's really going to cost teams any extra money or anything like that. So regardless of what NASCAR says, so it is what it is. That's sort of the big news today. Then you got some other NASCAR news where NASCAR announced that it is going to have its full speed deal with Netflix, and it also signed on with a group to produce that. And from that, there is another thing where they're going to produce even more content. So that is a great story. So first off, let's start off with the Netflix thing. The Netflix documentary last year, Full Speed, I think was an absolute success. I think it brought more viewership to the early part of the season. Now that we're getting into the playoffs, I think it'll bring probably more viewership into the playoffs as well. So I think overall that's been a positive thing. Was it as positive as F1's? No, but that was lightning in a bottle. I don't know if anybody's going to catch that kind of buzz ever again with the Drive to Survive. But NASCAR's version was successful, and they're doing things like this to get even better. But the better part of that is they've signed on with that company that's helping produce this, and they're going to make even more content. So you're going to see even more content, especially in the off season. I think this will be super helpful to sort of keep it a full season sport, as they would say. Even when they're not on the track, you're still going to have fresh content to peruse and look at in the off season. So that was another big story. Of course, people still talking about the Chase Briscoe Kyle Busch thing. We've covered that, but briefly, my thoughts on that are Chase Briscoe didn't do anything wrong. I don't think Chase Briscoe would have raced like that if it wasn't the playoffs. Some people are looking at that and saying, hey, that's a great thing. We have the playoffs and guys are racing like that now. Some people are looking at it and saying, hey, that's a bad thing. The 26th place car should never cost the first place car a win. And you can look back through history without the playoffs and see where it's happened there before as well, I'm sure. So at the end of the day, I still stand where I've always stood on it. Chase Briscoe didn't do anything wrong, but you don't have to like it. Just like when that guy pulls out in front of you and won't get up to speed on the interstate, and you get jammed in the slow lane, and you can't get by for a few miles. He didn't do anything illegal. He didn't do anything wrong, but you don't have to like it. And going forward with Chase Briscoe, I think Kyle Busch might race him a little bit differently. And that might affect Chase Briscoe's playoff situation from there. So there's always two sides to the coin, right? Kyle Busch is just going to give him the same energy that he's been getting back from Chase Briscoe. I think that's a situation you could definitely see going forward. I don't think he's going to wreck him. I don't think it's that serious or anything like that, but you can definitely give him back the same energy that he's been giving you, right? Especially after Darlington and things like that. So Darlington was a clean race. And Chase Briscoe just has that over aggressive stigma or whatever you want to call it. Reputation, I guess, would be a better word for it. Ty Dillon, full time to colleague. I didn't cover that because I was at Martinsville, so apologies there. Um, so he is going to be full time in the 10 car, 31 car going away. It will be the 10 car, and Ty Dillon will be driving that full time. So keep an eye on colleague. I'm sure they probably have some other things to announce there. And then other silly season news that is far more recent than that. Caden Honeycutt and Nice Motorsports are going to be paired up in 2025. So Caden Honeycutt has a full time ride in the Truck Series for 2025, and it will be at Nice. And Carson Voppel, pretty much what a lot of people were talking about at Martinsville when I was there for the late model race, a race which Carson Voppel won. He is going to the Xfinity Series and JRM with Bass Pro Shops as the sponsor on the number one car. So we get a number one Bass Pro Shops again. We haven't had that since Jamie McMurray. I want to say, I think that was the last number one Bass Pro Shops car. Could be wrong about that, but that's the last one I remember. So yeah, number one Bass Pro Shops car, Junior Motorsports. So Xfinity Series. So that is starting to round out as well. And what else did I have written down here? Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace and his wife had their child, Bex Hayden Wallace. So there you go. Bubba Wallace is a father now. And with that being said, the poll question is, I think I already read it, but I'm gonna read it again. Will NASCAR's new Mohawk Strip reduce car flips? 27% saying yes, 73% saying no right now. 41 votes in so far, and I'm going to jump into the comments and see what you guys want to talk about. Already got a super chat. Much appreciated. Big fist bump for Robin Marks there. Ross won. Someone had a video saying Ross was disrespected as a non-playoff driver. The playoffs suck. I hate the playoffs. I'm still thinking about not watching. Still love your channel. Appreciate it, Robin Marks. Yeah, I think a lot of people do get frustrated with the playoffs. I did see a story out there where Shane Van Gisbergen said it is the most complicated racing series that he's ever been in his entire life, as far as figuring out how the playoffs work and things like that. So I do have to say I would agree with him there. And then on Denny Hamlin's podcast, they asked Denny Hamlin. I saw this from Elite Precision. He tweeted this out. They asked Denny Hamlin to describe the playoffs in under 2 minutes, and Denny did describe the playoffs, but he still left out a lot of things that are in the playoffs. It is just such an overly complicated thing. Like I said, I'm not necessarily against having a playoffs. Me personally, I would like to have a full season worth of points, But I understand from a TV perspective, you have to sell the second half of the season. So if we have to have a playoff, can we not come up with a little bit of a better version of the playoffs than what we have now? So I feel like that's a fair question to ask as far as the playoff stuff goes. But yeah, the full season points to me personally would be great. You can look at all kinds of websites and stuff that compare it to if there were no playoffs, the points would be really really close right now. If it was the old Winston Cup Latford system, the points would be really really close right now. So I don't know. You don't necessarily need the gimmick of the playoffs, is what they're getting at. But if you do have the gimmick of the playoffs, you could have a chase version of the playoffs or something like that. Either way, either way, 200 miles an hour and you're going to catch air. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's really there's physics and then there's physics. 200 miles per hour. If you get turned the wrong way, I don't care what you got on the car. That thing's gonna flip over. That's just to me. You can do whatever you want to mitigate it, but they're doing their best to make it safe, and I want them to make it as safe as possible. I don't want you to get me wrong, but at the end of the day, 200 miles per hour, you're only going to be but so safe. Crystal Sparkles, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. The roof rail is going down. The front windshield, it looked ridiculous. Yeah, and then you get to sort of a situation where you worry about visibility and things like that. Is it going to create? Anytime you fix one thing, it creates problems in another area. So uh, that's just the way engineering is. You fix one thing and you create an unintended problem over here. So we'll just have to see how it plays out on track. I'm hoping it works. I'm hoping everything goes well. I'm not trying to talk poorly about it at all, but that is what it is. Let's see. Oh yeah, the thumbnail. I forgot the thumbnail. So Oldsmobile Grant Enfinger is listed on the entry list as having an Oldsmobile, and Oldsmobile clearly no longer exists. So that's funny, but it is brought back, and Oldsmobile has been trending. Uh, and that's why. So the picture there is made by Skylar Fox. Follow him on Twitter. He does really good stuff with graphic design. So check him out. Give him a follow. But he put the nose on it exactly how I envisioned it in my head when they said Oldsmobile truck, the Grand Enfinger, when they mislisted it on there. So yeah, that was the other story that I completely missed, even though I probably should have led with it. So yeah, that was a pretty good laugh. So if you're wondering why Oldsmobile is trending, that's why Oldsmobile is trending right now. Agreed. Awesome series, says Crystal Sparkles. Let's see. The word stock car no longer exists in NASCAR, says Robert Key. It probably hasn't existed. They haven't been stocked for a very long time. Two more non-playoff winners coming up, says one wise guy. Yep. So far, it's been the season of the spoiler. And I think you're going to have that when you have so many drivers in there that got in there by just winning one race and weren't necessarily high up in points. So I was expecting more spoilers this year than we've probably are used to. Milton saying Grant Enfinger to drive the an Oldsmobile at Talladega. LOL. So there you go. Milton's on it. What I just talked about. So yeah, that was mislisted on the official entry sheet that Grant Enfinger will be driving the Oldsmobile. And Grant responded by saying, of course, at least they kept me in the General Motors family. So he had a laugh about it as well. Dirty